Check out Donald Trump's electrifying speech at the American Fest. You won't believe the bold proposals and the turnaround that Donald Trump promises to make on security from day one of his term.
Well, we begin with this. President-elect Trump has big plans for day one of his new administration. He's promised to get a lot of things done next year, and among them are closing our southern border, deporting illegal migrants, and EV mandates, and increasing energy production. It's a lot to do, but which of these will he do on day one? We have a few guesses. Here's Trump on his plans for next year.
On my first day back in the Oval Office, I will sign a historic slate of executive orders to close our border to illegal aliens and stop the invasion of our country. And on that same day, we will begin the largest deportation operation in American history. I will sign day one orders to end all Biden restrictions on energy production, terminate his insane electric vehicle mandate, cancel his natural gas export ban, and together we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again. We will make America healthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again.
So big plans for day one and for his entire term. But I want to start with this, Tommy. I spoke with Tom Homan last week, and there was this NBC report that was floating around about Trump preparing 5 executive orders on illegal immigration, which would be significant. That would be more than all executive orders he did on day one last term. So I asked Tom Homan, is it going to be 5? And here's what he said.
And more than 5, more than 3, there's going to be many. We can't have strong national security if we don't have border security. So there's going to be some executive orders signed on day one. At the same time he's signing those executive orders, we got ICE officers across the country going to start, they're going to be hitting the streets looking for criminal illegal aliens. At the same time, we'll be putting ending catch release day one. At the same day, we're also going to be looking for over 340,000 missing children.
And Donald Trump didn't waste any time announcing that as soon as he takes office again, he will sign a series of historic executive orders to close the borders in the country, which he claims is necessary because this invasion of illegal immigrants is undermining the security of the United States. And he also promises a historic deportation. Yeah, but that's not all. And what he said about energy renewal is breathtaking.
They're ready to go, Tommy.
They're ready to go because they have to be, Kaylee. I mean, this is the mandate from the American people. I do believe that Donald Trump won in the economy, but I think he also won on the border and restoring border security and national security. And I think they've got a lot of work to do because the last 4 years, the floodgates have been opened. You can't allow 10 million plus people, largely unvetted, into a country and then expect Donald Trump to sit on his thumbs in his first days in office. He's got a lot of work to do, and it's going to take much of the next 4 years for him to get that done because the damage has been so severe to this country with the open borders. Tom Homan is ready to go. And, you know, I know Tom Homan well, as do most of us on this show. And Tom Homan is not doing this because he wants a promotion. He's not doing this because he wanted to come out of retirement. He's doing this because he truly loves his country and he has the skill set to be able to get this done. And it's going to be an ambitious endeavor for sure. It's going to require a lot of work. It's going to require a little bit of money, but the ambition is there and it's all for the American people. That's what I love about Donald Trump and his executive orders. Everything he's doing, it's not for him. It's not for the rest of the world. It's for the American people. And that's what we elected him to do. Most people are so excited for January 20th. It really will be like the second coming of Christmas.
Trump announced that from his very first day, he will cancel Biden's restrictions on energy production. He argued that these measures are crucial to making Europe powerful and prosperous again. Yeah, but that's not all. You're going to be surprised by the security measures that Trump promises to implement immediately.
Yeah, a lot of people making that comparison. Paul, You know, I saw this. I wanted to go back to Biden's first day, and I saw this Wall Street Journal headline. It says Biden signs executive orders on face mask mandate, Keystone Pipeline, and Paris Accord. I don't think we're going to have a face mask mandate on day one, but it says Mr. Biden signed 15 EOs, 2 executive actions on his first day in office, far more than any of his modern predecessors, none of whom signed more than 1. If I'm a betting woman here, I'm thinking Donald Trump wants to break the 15 record, and we may see way more than that.
Yeah, so we all recall that spate of executive orders, many of which felt very spiteful, particularly the things on the border. And just to double tap what Tammy was talking about, I think where this is going to be most visible day one to the American public is going to be on the border stuff. And that's not to say that the other measures are not going to be important, but ICE is ready to go. I mean, those marching orders have already sort of filtered down, and they know what they're going to be asked to do. You're going to see the border have much more friction, okay? It's not going to be completely closed, but they're going to do a lot that hasn't been done. The other place you're going to see it is at the local level as Tom Homan sends ICE out and the Director of Homeland Security send ICE out to try to find the bad guys. It's really that simple. Finding them is where the challenge is, particularly in sanctuary cities. So if you take New York, which is a sanctuary city, well, if they go into the system, they're arrested, they're an illegal. Let's take the guy that lit this poor woman on fire in the subway recently here in New York City, all right? An illegal alien committed this kind of a crime. That's very public. We know he's there, but very often you don't know that. How are you going to find them? Especially in a sanctuary city that has said, we're not going to notify you. So ICE is going to have to come up with mechanisms, and a lot of them are going to be very legalistic, things like subpoenas and writs of habeas corpus, et cetera. They're going to have to go in, pull these guys out of jail, get them out of the country, rather than have us be responsible for their care and feeding for a 10 to 20 life, whatever it is, in jail. We don't want to deal with that. We want to get them out. That's the challenge, and that's what Homan faces.
Trump also emphasized the importance of national security, promising to strengthen security at the borders and activate operations like the AEs. Check it out. Trump also plans a radical cleanup on justice and defense issues that you need to know about.
And that's a big one. I think we'll see a ton. I agree with you on immigration on day one. Kara, 2 that I think are very important. It's not the border, but especially this first one. That's Afghanistan, asking for the resignation of those involved in the poor decision-making that led to the death of 13 heroic men and women at the Abbey Gate. That's very important. Another one, I just want to pull this up. This has not been listed as a day one priority, but I think it should be. Washington Times: imprisoned pro-life activists hope for Trump pardon after prosecution by Biden DOJ, including Paulette Harlow, an elderly woman who was outside a clinic and now is in jail with health problems.
Kayleigh, I am so glad that you brought these 2 things up, because the border, it's a 5-alarm fire. It matters very much. But these are 2 bread and butter American issues that everyday Americans really, truly care about. And they're going to have lasting impacts, especially when it comes to Afghanistan, across the world in a geopolitical sense for many, many years to come. So I'm so glad, pending his confirmation hearing, hopefully the new Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, will be able to right the ship, because we have General Lloyd Austin, who presided over arguably the biggest public humiliation of the American military in my lifetime. And let's face it, decades prior to this. So that needs to be cleaned up. We need to return the Pentagon to the warfighter, to lethality. And then you look at people like General Milley. You want to create a deterrent effect, not just for our enemies, but for things like when General Milley says, I talked to my counterpart in the PLA, the People's Liberation Army in China, and I said that I would talk to you before the civilian controller of the military, Donald Trump, would take any action. We want to deter flag officers from taking actions like that to subvert this lawfully elected president of the United States. So I think that is going to be absolutely huge. Pete Hegseth has a big charge there. I believe he will deliver, and I hope he gets confirmed. His hearing is January 15th. And then the pro-life cause. That is something, the weaponization of the justice system has been turned inward on the American people. This cannot stand. I hope they get pardoned, at least in the first few days, and that justice, real justice, is actually restored to the American people, because we cannot have a country when you're jailing good religious believers for acting out their faith.
Trump also mentioned issues regarding justice, including pardons for imprisoned pro-life activists and a restructuring at the Department of Defense.
Amen to that. And Paulette Harlow's husband fears she will die in jail. So I hope that doesn't happen. I hope she gets to go back to her church family, to her husband, and to her family. Leslie, these are the Democrats' plans. I wanted to save this for you. This is Politico. This is Chuck Schumer. He did an interview with Politico. I don't know exactly what Trump will do, but I can tell you this. The judiciary will be one of our strongest, if not our strongest barrier against what he does. When we started out, we knew it would be a very difficult job to do more than Trump had done, but we did it. We got 235, more than a quarter of the federal judiciary. So is the plan just sue into oblivion?
Well, I certainly hope it wouldn't be, because that's not productive, not just for my party, but for the process of our American system and for the American people. But there are some things that are going to be problematic and that are going to be met just as they were in the first administration, like with some of these bans or some of these deportation, ideas. When you just look at some of the executive orders within the mass deportation, for example, you look at some of the you talk about cost. It's not just financial cost. There's also emotional cost to military. There is also emotional cost to families. Tom Homan talked about halfway houses for children who are citizens, who are born here in the United States, who would be separated from their parents if their parents choose not to take them. Then you talk about cost. If you look at the state that I live in right now, California, in California, we provide so much food, especially produce, to the rest of the country. And a lot of these agricultural corporations use undocumented labor to provide the food for the rest of the country, not just the state of California. So there are a lot of businesses in and outside of California, especially in sectors like construction and agriculture, that are very fearful of what will happen to their businesses and what will happen to those businesses, nationwide, to the construction industry, to agriculture. So I think it's important for them to be, to be mindful to protect the American people, and I think the judiciary is one way to do that.
I do think that the priority on day one will be the criminals. And I do think about the cost to American citizens. I know all of us on this panel, our hearts broke for that woman on the subway that Paul mentioned. And we never want to see something like that ever happen again in this country.
And as you can see, unlike The View, Fox News commentators are strongly supportive of Trump, emphasizing swift and decisive action on security and the economy, but also acknowledging the challenges Trump will face. And Trump's historic speech at American Fest made it clear that he intends to turn things around from his first day in office. And you, what did you think of this speech by Donald Trump? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Also, share this video with as many people as you can. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Thank you all very much. Until our next meeting.